Thanks a lot, Leadership Limpo. I want to say good evening, everyone, and welcome to our session tonight. I hope and pray that you are in a position where you are able to pay 100% attention. There's nothing beside you that's gonna, sort of disturb you and stuff like that. If you need to take notes, please do so. I am recording tonight's session as well for you to always reference back. If there's anything that you maybe want to listen to over and over. I've realized that repetition is very good when it comes to learning. So there's quite a lot of information that we're going to go through today, but just bear with us. I'm sure by the time we are finished with the tonight's session, you would be maybe as excited as I am regarding cryptocurrency. And I've been excited about cryptocurrencies over the last 4 years. I got involved in cryptocurrencies 4 years ago, and I live on cryptocurrencies, over the last 4 years. I do this full time. Before this, I was into real estate. I was a franchise. I owned a franchise, a Rosin property franchise that I ran for about 7 years. But the only problem I had was, I come from a typical African home where, I'm the oldest at home. I've got, three siblings, and, I've got my own family and so forth. So there was a lot riding on me as far as, finances are concerned. And I realized that, in my type of industry, I was living like a hunter. In other words, if I don't kill, I'm not going to eat. So if I don't make a sale, I'm not going to make money. So I always lived, from hand to mouth. So, I had a problem with that because I thought to myself, if I were to get into an accident and I cannot continue to work, let's say for the next 3 or 6 months, what's going to happen to my income? What's going to happen to my family? That's what led me to look for alternative ways of generating wealth and generating an income. So that's how I came across cryptocurrencies and network marketing. So without wasting any more time, allow me to share my screen. Now, I want to do something a bit different today, in the sense that I want to open two particular websites that I just want us to have a look at. You can always, have a look at this website later on, but I just want to show you, the particular website and what can be found in that website. The first website is coindesk.com. I used to use this website quite a lot back in the day. It had a lot of information back then, that showed, all from 2012, all the Bitcoin and blockchain startup companies, and, that raised the venture funding from different sources. It used to detail, this company raised so much money and was funded by so-and-so. So it was quite interesting to see that, even the biggest banks in the world are funding these startup companies. The likes of JP Morgan, Citibank, Standard Chartered, and also Barclays. Even institutions like MasterCard, Visa. So it was amazing to see how many companies that basically funding, who are in this space. That's the kind of information, which I find quite strange because it does not make it into the mainstream media for whatever reason. Another typical example, we've got an exchange that is very, very common in South Africa called Luno. Now, an exchange is simply where you can exchange your rands for Bitcoins or other cryptocurrencies, or you can do vice versa, right? So, I live on Bitcoins. Now, there's very few businesses that do accept Bitcoin in the form of payment. So I have to constantly convert my Bitcoins to rands and my rands to Bitcoin, vice versa. So I use Altcoin Trader and Luno a lot. So it was interesting to find that Luno is partially owned, one, by Naspers, and number two, it is also partially owned by Rand Merchant Bank. By extension, Rand Merchant Bank is FNB. But that's the kind of information that you're not going to see on the mainstream media. And, the other information that I got as early as 2017. Now, Old Mutual, they've got a fund that invests into precious metal and all these other, asset classes. That fund, as early as 2017, started investing into Bitcoins in 2017. Okay, so now you can imagine that just shows you how big this thing is. So what I want you to come and check here when you do have the time, you can come and check the news here, right? Anything you want to have a look, maybe let's just click on tech. Let's see what's the current news. So there's a lot that you can get here. Coinbase Pro listing and other eye-opening data points. Snake oil overpriced. So here they talk about a lot of stuff that's got to do with the space that we're in, blockchain, cryptocurrencies. This guy is a billionaire now who's also heavy into cryptocurrencies. So there's a lot that you can learn here if you spend some time on this particular website. So that's just the one website. The other website I want us to have a look at is CoinMarketCap. CoinMarketCap is simply a website that tracks all the cryptocurrencies and tokens, and it also gives us the price movement and all of that. So what I want us to have a look here, you can see that the total market cap of all cryptocurrencies, meaning the total value of all currencies that are in circulation today, you can see $266 billion. You can see Bitcoin's dominance there is 65%. This goes up and down, the dominance. It goes up and down. There was a stage where it was sitting at 43%. So it does go up and down. But you can see the market cap of Bitcoin there at $173 billion. Now, when I got involved in 2016, the market cap of Bitcoin was less than $11 billion, of which now it's over 173. So that's quite also interesting to check. So there's a lot that you can learn here regarding the price movements. You can take it back whatever date that you want to go back to and check what was the price. So I think this is another website that you might want to look at. So now let's then go back to our slides that's going to guide us in our session today. Right, so this session today is brought to you by a company called Mining City, of which we are, members of. Right, so I'm sure we all too familiar with this cash flow quadrant, but let's just maybe spend 2 minutes or so on it. Since 2007, when I was doing my second year in university, that's when I got introduced to network marketing. And, from there on, I was introduced to people like Robert Kiyosaki, where I read his book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and many other books, Cash Flow Quadrant, Retire Young, Retire Rich. And I also read a lot of Donald Trump's books, Think Like a Billionaire and so forth. So what I realized from those books is that, the way people create money, right? It's not necessarily what is actually taught in school. I realized that the people who are, in these 4 quadrants, Robert Kiyosaki says, all of us in the world, the way we earn our money, we can all be classified in one of these 4 quadrants. The first one, obviously, being the employee quadrant, self-employed. I only spent 18 months in this quadrant. And I think I want to blame Robert Kiyosaki from what I learned, because I realized earlier on that, this was not going to take me where I wanted to go. Okay. So, it's said that you always start with the end in mind. So I only spent 18 months in this quadrant, and then I moved to the employed quadrant, where I was a franchisee, running my own real estate business, but then I could not get the leverage, we all understand that very few people do eventually find financial freedom, in the employee quadrant. Very few people find financial freedom in the self-employed quadrant. Now, people who are, generate a lot of wealth are basically sitting in these 2 quadrants. These are the 2 quadrants where they generate, enormous wealth, being the business owner and also the investors. Business owners have got one thing in common. These guys understand the principle of leverage. They understand other people's time, other people's money, other people's effort. In fact, there's a guy in America in the early 1900s. His name is Paul J. Getty. This guy said, I would rather have 1% of 100 people's effort than 100% of my own. Talking about leverage, okay? So these guys understand all of that. So that is why you'll find that you walk into a Pick and Pay or, a ShopRite and stuff like that, you will never see the owner or the creator of Pick and Pay there. Why? Because this guy is employing people in this system that is built, that then basically making money. So I realized that, sitting as an employee, even if I were to build a career for 30 years, the career that I would have built, I cannot hand it over, as an inheritance to my kids. So I decided thereon that I rather want to work hard and build something, spend 30 years if I have to, building something that I can hand over, to my kids. Therefore, breaking this whole cycle, of poverty. So now with Mining City, I found an opportunity where, I can have the same benefit as the people in the B quadrant, right? I can have the same leverage as the people in the B quadrant. It's almost similar to franchising, except for the fact that, in franchise, someone said to me, as a franchisee, you are nothing but a glorified employee. I was a bit upset by that. But then on the other end, I realized that this guy was basically telling the truth, because you get told what to buy, where to buy, and all of that. They basically dictate to you. But then in this particular instance, there's nothing of the sort, but you can leverage the system that someone else has built. We'll talk about that as we continue. So when it comes to wealth creation, 95% of all the money gets generated in these two quadrants. Okay, but you'll find that only 5% of the whole population is sitting in these two quadrants. So when I learned that, I decided a long time ago that I want to be a student of this B and the I quadrant, right? I want to be a student, and at the very same time, this is where I want to, participate. So, and that's what I've been doing over the last 4 years. So now let's talk about who Mining City is. Mining City started as a project in 2018. Is led by a guy called Greg Rogoski, who is our CEO. Greg Rogoski comes from the media background as an executive. He worked for many big companies in Europe, whether in print media, radio, television. This guy has done it all when it comes to media and marketing. So now Mining City has grown tremendously over the last year. Right now, it's operating in over 22 countries. Just in the first year, Mining City did over $230 million in sales, and with over 250, 1,000 members all around the world. And this number is growing at very, very fast rate every single day. Now, what's important about this $230 million in sales is that people who are like me, who have partnered with Mining City in the B quadrant within Mining City, those guys have been paid, a share of that, which is over $180 million in distributions, okay? And then the guys who simply said to Mining City, look, we just want to take it easy. We want to earn passively. Those guys have earned more than 41 million, in mining earnings, right? So Mining City has got two very strategic partners. One of them is MindBest, and the other one is BTC.com, of which, I will talk about MindBest just now. BTC.com is simply our hosting partner. They help us to host our, Bitcoin mining pool. But MindBest, on the other hand, these are the guys who basically, allow us to do what we do, in the sense that, they run our infrastructure. We are MindBest, biggest client. So these guys are based in Warsaw, Poland, the headquarters, but the mining facilities themselves, they are based in Kazakhstan and in China. Now, the reason why, mining facilities are based in Kazakhstan is simply because of, the lucrative or the favorable, electricity prices. Kazakhstan is the fourth cheapest electricity, in the world. And your biggest cost factor in mining cryptocurrencies is basically electricity, right? So we've got an exclusive agreement where MindBest, they're the only ones who basically mine our currencies. And what's important to note is that, these guys have got a favorable agreement with the government of Kazakhstan for land, taxation issues, and all of that. And I'll talk about why. And what's also noteworthy is the fact that these guys are busy winning awards left, right, and center. And the most noteworthy award is this one that they won from the opposition, Bitmain, right? Bitmain is also doing exactly what MindBest is doing, except for the fact that they also manufacture, their own mining machines, and also sell them. So, and that's the direction Mindbest basically wants to go in as well. So now, the fact that these guys are being recognized worldwide actually gives us a peace of mind, knowing that, we've got the best hands on the deck to make sure that, these machines are running, efficiently and optimally, thereby helping us, to earn lucrative returns. Now, you might have noticed that I said Mining City started in 2018 as a project, and Mindbest only started in 2017. Now, if you were to go to any, platform, that offers venture capital funding, they look at the track record of the company. But on top of that, especially if it's less than 5 years, but on top of that, they also look at the jockey, okay? So who is the man behind? Who is the visionary? Who is behind all of this? So in this case, Mindbest was started by a guy called Eyal Avramovich. Now, Eyal is a serial inventor. This guy dedicated his life to simply, eliminating problems by providing solutions, to different kinds of problems that are out there. And this guy has built, consumable products. Some of these technologies have been bought by companies like Sony. He's built the world's slimmest bathroom scale. And the most, interesting invention that is currently, working on, in fact, is finished, is, this electric car, right? This is the slimmest electric car in the world, okay? It's about 1 meter long. It will only sit 2 people. He calls it, the luxury vehicle for, for the road. He calls it, the private jet of the road. So it's nothing but luxury, okay? So I'm quite interested to see how many countries, will be able to basically ship, these vehicles to. But this is the prototype that he built, just from his garage, okay? But this is the actual design right now. So that's the guy who's behind Mindbest. Now, Mindbest has been, attending, sponsoring, being keynote speakers, also, being panelists in over 20 blockchain conferences over the last 2 years, okay? They've built quite a huge reputation in the sense that, they've been in every blockchain conference, contributing to the discourse and the solutions, within the blockchain space. As a result, they've built quite, a great reputation. They've been in 2 blockchain conferences in South Africa just, this year. So, that's quite amazing to see. And, those are the guys that we have, basically running our infrastructure. So again, it speaks to what I was saying before, the fact that we've got the best hands on deck. So Mining City has got 2 products. One is Bitcoin mining. The other one is Bitcoin vault mining. And the third one, that's almost ready for shipment. These are the Bitcoin debit cards. The debit cards will work just like your normal bank card. So you can load them up with your Bitcoins. So instead of you going to exchange your rands to Bitcoins and all of that going through your bank account, so what will happen is that you will simply load this debit card with your Bitcoins, and you can go to any shop and swipe. And if you need to, maybe, let's say you need hard cash, you can go to any ATM and withdraw just like you will do with your normal bank card. So that's also quite interesting. I can't wait, for those cards to be available for us to order. So now, over the last 4 years, I've literally spoken to thousands of people all around the country and even outside of South Africa. Now, the most common question I get from people is, what must I put in? We hear this Bitcoin, we see it on TV, we hear about it on radio, we read about it, on print media and so forth. Everybody's talking about Bitcoin right now. Therefore, people don't really doubt the legitimacy of Bitcoin. The only thing they want to know now is, so how can you make a quick buck from it? Okay. So, and I always say, that's the last question you want to ask. The most important question you should be asking is, what is Bitcoin? Why does it exist? What problem is it here to solve? How well is it doing in solving that problem? And most importantly, how big is that problem? Because I've realized that people who become rich in the 21st century, it's not necessarily people, who are smart, who are inventors and so forth. Yes, those guys do get rich as well. But guess what? Once they've created, whatever invention, most likely than not, they do not have the money to fund it. So people who are able to, spot a great invention or to spot a great trend, and position themselves on the right side of the trend, those people end up becoming rich. If you look at Facebook, Gmail, YouTube, and all of that, people who basically invested in those instruments are basically well off today. Okay, so this video that I'm going to play, it's attempting to answer this question: what is Bitcoin? Why does it exist? Right? So, and then once it's done, we'll carry on with our session. It's just about 2 minutes, 2 minutes long, but I need you to pay, the utmost attention because it basically explains what Bitcoin is. Let's enjoy.
Do you want to know what Bitcoin really is? Before it attracted the attention of thousands of people, in October 2008, an internet user known as Satoshi Nakamoto suggested the idea of a new, independent currency. The open source version of Bitcoin code was released 2 months later. The first block in the Bitcoin blockchain was created, and that was the rise of Bitcoin. Since then, Bitcoin has changed the way society views global finance and banking. The fees are relatively low for transactions, and funds can be transferred in a short period of time, regardless of the amount and the distance between both sides. There is no central authority overseeing the transactions because a Bitcoin network is decentralized, in contrast to the banks. The total possible supply is limited to 21 million Bitcoins, which will be reached in the year 2020. Bitcoins are stored in digital wallets that are accessible only to the owners of the wallets. They can easily be used to buy goods or services both digitally and physically. All trades are carried out in a peer-to-peer network based on nodes called the blockchain. The network requires computational power provided by miners, machines built specially for mining Bitcoin, to make those transactions secure and less susceptible to fraud. Each transaction is verified by miners to be approved. The identity of users might be hidden, but the user follows a few simple rules. Nowadays, Bitcoin is considered a great investment. It's encrypted, simple, and convenient. Discover the life-changing opportunity of Bitcoin mining. Do you want?
Right, I like what this guy says, right at the end. He says, discover the life-changing opportunity of Bitcoin mining. Now, I can sit here and testify of how many people, that I've worked with, that I know, myself included, whose lives have totally changed like night and day because of, this opportunity. So now let's talk about, now, if you listen to what this guy was saying, he said, the white paper was introduced in 2008, and the coin, the network, went live in 2009. Now, the whole year of 2009, very few people actually knew about Bitcoin. In fact, in terms of the number of wallets created in 2009, it was only 440. Now, what is a wallet? You've got your rand as a currency, and then you've got your bank. You've got your bank account number. That's what we know. And then this side with Bitcoin, you've got Bitcoin as a currency, and then you've got your Bitcoin wallet. Bitcoin wallet, it's almost as an equivalent of the bank, even though in this case you become the bank. So it's an equivalent of the bank, and at the very same time, you get now your Bitcoin wallet address, which is equivalent to a bank account number. So if I need to send you Bitcoins, I'm not going to ask for your Bitcoin account number. I'm going to ask you for your Bitcoin wallet address, because that's what I can use to send you Bitcoins. Now, 2009, there was only 440 wallets, many of them not so active, okay, of the 440 wallets in 2009. So it was almost as if, it's like an experiment, right? Where, you've got these nerds, right? This, these computer wizards, creating this currency, talking about this thing, believing how this thing is going to change the world and so forth. And, other people, did not see, how far this thing can go. Even today, some people still do not see how far this thing can go. Now, in 2010, something important happened where on the 22nd of May, one guy who was in Florida, said, if anyone can buy me 2 pizzas, I'll give them 10,000 Bitcoins. Now, remember, Bitcoin didn't have a value as such at the time. And you had, these few guys, collecting, this great number of Bitcoins, not necessarily knowing what to do with them at the time. And then one guy said, look, I'll pay for the pizza. So he paid $25 for the pizza, and then he got his 10,000 Bitcoins. That now got a lot of people talking, and from there on. So what is this Bitcoin? So it's an electronic cash payment system, and da-da-da-da-da. And then people started buying Bitcoin from there on. By the end of the year, in South African rands, one Bitcoin was worth 140 cents. Now, I need us to really think about that. Can you imagine if in 2010, you had bought, Bitcoins worth 1,000 rand? What will they be worth today? Okay, if provided you do not sell up until today, So, I mean, we'll be talking a completely different language today, because you'll be worth a couple of, hundreds of millions. Okay, so now, then fast forward to 2015, the first time I heard about Bitcoin was worth about 3,000 rand for one Bitcoin. I did not get involved for so many different reasons, but the fundamental reason is the fact that I was broke. Okay, now 2016, when I eventually, took Bitcoin seriously and got involved, because I could not ignore Bitcoin any longer. I'm sure all of us who are on this call, it's not that it's the first time you're hearing about Bitcoin and you were willing to jump on a call. Probably you've been hearing about it and you decided, you know what, let me lend an ear and hear what this thing is about. So that was me in 2008. When 2016, when I got involved, Bitcoin was 8,000 rand. And, and I said to my friends, guys, this is a time-sensitive opportunity. Now, I said this can easily go 10 times in value within the next 5 years. And my friends obviously thought I'm crazy, some of them, and they did not take it seriously. Okay? Now, guess what? I was wrong. Bitcoin did not go up 10 times in value in the last 5 years. It actually gone up more than 20 times in value, over the last 5 years. Speaking to what I was saying, this is an extremely time-sensitive opportunity for ordinary people like me, okay? Because right now, if I need to go and buy 10 Bitcoins today, I would need, about 1.7, 1.8 million rands. But back in 2016, I could have only spent 80,000 rand to get the same amount of Bitcoins, okay? So that's what I meant when I said it's time sensitive. Now, if you're thinking that probably you're late, you might be and you might be not. Yes, you've missed out on this particular growth, but we don't know where Bitcoin can go, right? If we look at what's happening right now, last year, the World Economic Forum, they had a whole session talking about cryptocurrencies. Right now, governments all over the world, even the ones who were a bit apprehensive about Bitcoin, earlier on, right now are actually, in the process or have already created legislation for Bitcoin. Now, the leading example here is a country called Japan, where, they've adopted Bitcoin as a second currency. Okay, it's a legal tender. Germany has come on board. Russia is coming on board. Many other countries in the States, there are some states where you can even pay your taxes regarding Bitcoin. So that just shows you that Bitcoin is here to stay. All right. So if the number right now, we're talking less than 5% of the world population that is involved in Bitcoin, the question is what happens when that number, goes to 10%, 15%, 20%, bearing in mind that there will only be 21 million Bitcoins to ever exist, right? So as the demand for this Bitcoin increases, so does the value of this Bitcoin increase, because there's a limited number of Bitcoins that will, ever exist. So if I may just maybe, just go through, why should people, care about Bitcoin? It's simply because, why are people moving into Bitcoin? Why is Bitcoin, becoming more popular? Bitcoin was never designed to be an investment scheme or an investment platform, but Bitcoin was simply designed to solve the problem. And the problem was there wasn't any currency that was censorship resistant. There wasn't any currency, that was deflationary, and there wasn't any currency, that was sort of detached from everyday politics and was not necessarily influenced, by everyday politics, in different countries. So, so no one, there's only going to be 21 million Bitcoins, and there's no one who can change that. So even how these Bitcoins are added onto circulation, every 4 years, the number of Bitcoins, they are reduced in half. That's what we talk about halving. And on the other hand, what happens to the price? The price of Bitcoin keeps on rising. So your rand, your dollar, your British pound, your Chinese yen, they've got one thing in common, and that is they're inflationary because of how they are created, because of what is called fractional reserve banking. Okay. Now, Bitcoin, on the other hand, there's a limit in terms of how many Bitcoins will ever exist. That's why it appreciates in value. There's so much more we can say, as far as that is concerned. But, let's go ahead. So over the last 10 years, Bitcoin has been the single best performing asset ever. There is no asset that even comes close to what Bitcoin has done. You can look at Apple, you can look at whatever, Google, all these companies, whether it's stocks, whether it's oil, whether it's gold, there's none of them that has come close to what Bitcoin has done over the last 10 years. So not only has it been the best performing asset, it's also been a catalyst for many other industries right now. We're talking about manufacturing, these guys that are building these machines that are used to mine Bitcoin. We're talking about, exchanges. Some exchanges are worth billions of dollars right now, So, it has created quite a lot of wealth. Right now, there's a lot of, Bitcoin billionaires, even though this thing is only 10 years old, 11 years old. But even though that's all good and well, guess what? Much like anything that's created by men, it will have, one or the other flaw. Now, one of the two, most challenging flaws that are noteworthy today, regarding Bitcoin, one is the fact that most of the world woke up late to Bitcoin. Okay, so what do I mean? Right now, less than 0.1% of all the Bitcoins of all the wallets that exist, meaning the account numbers, if you remember, the accounts of all the wallets that exist, right? Less than 0.1% of these wallets own more than 60% of the coins. So right there, you can see that it's unequally distributed, right? Because these guys woke up early and they accumulated all these Bitcoins, right in the beginning. Of course, they deserve those Bitcoins. But why is it a problem or a potential problem? Simply because if one guy decides, let me just go and sell 10,000 Bitcoins for whatever reason, or maybe, someone passes away and, the guys or the children or the family, that inherits the estate decides, we don't want to hold on to Bitcoin. We don't necessarily understand it. We rather want to sell it and, get our fiat that we are used to, either the rand or the dollar, depending on where they are. So if they sell 10,000 Bitcoins with one go, what do you think will happen to the price? It will create an enormous, sell pressure, and the price of Bitcoin will then go down. It will recover over time. We don't know how long it's going to take, but those kinds of movements are not necessarily desirable within the ecosystem, as they bring a lot of disruption. Okay, so that's one. The second issue is the fact that, over the last, 10 years, there's been lots and lots of situations where, companies or exchanges are hacked and Bitcoins are stolen. People's wallets are hacked and Bitcoins are stolen. We had a situation in Joburg last year where the municipality was hacked. This guy demanded Bitcoins. Why? He knows that if he gets paid in Bitcoin, it's not impossible, but it's very difficult for anyone to trace who the person was, okay, due to the pseudo-anonymity of Bitcoin, okay? So now, people hating on Bitcoin have been saying that, this is it's money for criminals and all of that. But you and I know that money is neither good nor bad. Money is simply neutral, okay? So, but it's people who are either good or bad. So now, what do human beings do? What do we do when we create something and it does not serve us fully? What do we do, right? There's a saying in Xhosa, but I'm going to say it in English. They say you don't throw away the baby with the water. Okay, so meaning we don't throw away the invention because it's got 1 or 2 flaws. Okay, so that is why today we've got something called Bitcoin Vault, because Bitcoin Vault is not here to dethrone Bitcoin. It's not here to compete with Bitcoin, but it's here to basically complement Bitcoin. So people have been asking me, why is it called Bitcoin Vault? Why not Bit or Vault Coin or something coin? It's simply because everything that Bitcoin is, this coin is. You know, the code is exactly the same, right? Using the same algorithm, you know, same supply, only 21 million, same, you know, it's built to be a store of value. It's using the same machines to mine. You know, it's also decentralized. The only thing that makes it different is the fact that it's got an anti-theft system. If you remember those 2 problems with Bitcoin, security and unequal distribution, Bitcoin Vault attempts to solve those problems. How? One, when we started mining Bitcoin Vault, remember I said in the first year of Bitcoin, there was only 440 Bitcoin wallets. Now with Bitcoin Vault, when we started mining, there was over 150,000 people mining Bitcoins, meaning over 150,000 wallets. Okay, so meaning it's got a much wider base, you know, to start off. So as it grows, you know, within no time, we'll have millions of people who are involved in Bitcoin Vault. Whereas with Bitcoin, it took Bitcoin to where it is, to be where Bitcoin Vault is right now, about 6 years, okay, of which it took Bitcoin Vault only 6 months, right? So now that the reason why Bitcoin Vault able to get that kind of success, it simply is because of Bitcoin. Okay, so that is why I'm saying that everything that Bitcoin is, Bitcoin Vault is, except for the fact that it's solving these 2 problems. One, the unequal distribution, and the next one is security. So how is Bitcoin Vault solving the security problem? If you look at your normal bank stuff, you've got your bank account number. You can give that to anyone, right? It's what we call in Bitcoin your public key, right? Which is like your Bitcoin wallet address. You can give that to anyone. No one can get into your account by virtue of you having given them, you know, your Bitcoin wallet address or your bank account number. The only thing they can do is send you money. That's all, right? And then, but you would never give people your PIN code, right? That's what we call in Bitcoin your private key, right? Only you should know that, because that's what you will use when you want to spend your money. So now with Bitcoin, Bitcoin has got 1 public key, 1 private key. What about Bitcoin Vault? Bitcoin Vault has got 3 private keys. One of those private keys to do your normal day-to-day transaction, and the other one is if you want an ultra-fast transaction, then you can use private key number 2. And then in the event someone were to hack your wallet, steal your Bitcoin Vault, okay, you can then use your 3rd private key to retrieve your Bitcoin Vault within 24 hours. Okay, within 24 hours. Now, there's more than 5,000 cryptocurrencies right now. 95% of them, you should not even bother about them. I don't, okay? And I've been in this business for now, over 4 years. So, but then, Bitcoin Vault is the first cryptocurrency to ever have a solution like this. Other coins, you must take other measures. Now, with Bitcoin Vault, the security measure is basically built in to the coin itself. So it is a breakthrough as far as security is concerned, in the cryptocurrency space. That is why, online publications like Yahoo Finance, the Digital Journal, they've been saying that, Bitcoin Vault, they've published articles saying that this is, the standard, the ultimate standard for cryptocurrencies, and security in cryptocurrencies. So that's what something, to also check. So now let's look at the price history of Bitcoin Vault quickly. Now, we started mining in 16th of December. 5 days later, it was listed on the FEX exchange, CoinMill. The price started at around $1 for a couple of, either like about an hour or 2 hours, and then it stabilized around $5 for the better part of the day. Now, $5, now the coin is about $270 in 6 months' time. So you can see how the coin has grown over the last 6 months. And I personally believe that it's only the beginning, as the community itself that's using this coin is growing exponentially, causing the demand for this coin to also grow, exponentially, and therefore the price of this coin grows, okay? There's so much that's going to be happening regarding Bitcoin Vault. but there is an official website that I will give you that you can check, all the news and updates regarding this coin. So for people like me who feel, even though I came to Bitcoin in 2016, I still felt like I'm late. I still felt like I should have caught or knew about Bitcoin as early as 2009 or at least 2010, because I realized that had I knew about it back then and understood it, my fortunes would be completely different. Okay, so thank God right now there's something called Bitcoin Vault. And I, for one, have made a decision, even when it was announced, even before we started mining, that this is it. When I looked at the white paper and what this coin is trying to do, I realized that this is it, and there is no way I am missing out the second time. I like what the Chinese say. The Chinese say, if I rob you once, shame on me, the one who robbed you. But if I rob you twice, then shame on you. Why are you none the wiser? Okay, so there's no way that I'm not going to be more wiser right now with Bitcoin Vault, and miss out just like I missed out, on Bitcoins. So now, like I said, we are mining these coins in Kazakhstan. There is 2 mining farms in fact 4 mining farms in Kazakhstan. There is 2 in 2 different cities. One city is Astana. That's the one I've been in. This is Kazakhstan, Astana. And then the other one is in Ekibastus. So I went there last year in July. And for me, this was not going there because, I was bored and I wanted to view the world. No, for me, this was a fact-finding mission. And I am not the only one who went there. There's lots of other leaders from Africa who went there because we wanted to make sure that we are getting onto the right vehicle. Because when it comes to crypto, a lot has happened in the past. So this was part of that mission. I spent over 150,000 rand of my own, on this fact-finding mission. But that's a story for another day. So this is inside the container. These are the containers these guys are using, Mindbase is using, to house these machines. And I was fascinated because, the reason why they're using a normal container instead of a normal building, it's simply because it makes it easy for them to scale up, right? So if they want to put more machines, they can just simply put another container on top of another one, and that's it. So it's much easier to scale up, unlike, a normal building. And even when it comes to the cooling of these containers, as you can see, these containers are custom built. They've got louvers that open and close based on the temperature, that is happening on the inside and on the outside. So these are the machines that we're using to mine Bitcoin and Bitcoin Vault. You might be asking yourself, what is mining? Because the mining we understand is Marikana, people going underground. So these computers do what we call mining, which is simply means that these computers do 3 things. One, they secure the network of the coin by the sheer computing power. And secondly, they power the network. So you and I will do a transaction online using our smartphones, but it's basically these computers that power that transaction and make the transaction possible. And then the third thing they do is they verify Bitcoin or Bitcoin Vault transactions. So every 10 minutes, transactions all over the world within the network of Bitcoin or Bitcoin Vault, all those transactions happening, they get recorded together in what is called a block. And, so the miners then compete to see who is going to verify that particular block first. And whichever miner verifies the block first will get the block reward. And what is the block reward? The block reward is the newly generated coins. Okay, so meaning when we started mining Bitcoin Vault 16th of December, when the network went live, there was 0 Bitcoin Vault in circulation. But then 10 minutes later, there was 175 coins in circulation. One miner received those Bitcoins. Another 10 minutes later, another 175, and that's been happening. But now every 6 months, which I'm going to explain, every 6 months, the number of coins that are added onto circulation via the block reward is basically being cut in half. Remember I said cryptocurrencies are deflationary in their nature. That's because of how they are created. So anything where you've got the demand that's growing, but then you sort of, reduce the supply, of course the value will then, increase. But I'll talk about that as we continue. So this is Kazakhstan. One of the reasons why Mindbase, they've got a very good deal with the government there is the fact that this, every quarter, there will be people coming from different parts of the world to come and view the mining facility. So it's going to be open to anyone. So meaning it will then increase tourism in the country. So that's the whole idea. And in the future, they also want to have blockchain conferences within Kazakhstan and so forth. So there's a lot that is planned, that will then cause people, to then, be going to Kazakhstan. So, I, for one, I can, whenever there's another trip, I will definitely be, one of those who go. There was going to be a trip in May this year, and then COVID happened, right? So this was the first mine in Ekipastus to mine Bitcoin Vault. Let's just quickly have a look. It's less than 1 minute. Let's have a look at Mine Best at work.
For a long time, also she knows about you, so that's why I'm referring her to you to sign her up.
Right. So that is Mine Best, guys. One too many. All right. So I promise you that I'm going to show you the official website. This is the official website, bitcoinvault.global. Anything you want to learn regarding, Bitcoin Vault, you want to download the white paper, you want to check the hash rate, the computing power of the entire network, you want to check all the news, you want to check where they are as far as the development is concerned, you want to check, anything you want to check, the link to the GitHub channel, everything you want to learn, you will find it on that official website for Bitcoin Vault. Right, so remember, I said every 6 months. No, I just want to illustrate what happens with mining. So every 6 months, we have what is called the block reduction. So when we started mining, we had 175 coins per 10 minutes. Right now, we are mining 150 coins per 10 minutes per block, and it's reducing. It's going to go to 125, and then it's going to go to 100. It's going to go to 75. And then it's going to go to 50 and 25, right? So it's going to keep on doing that. But once it reaches 6.25, then it's going to do what is called halving. So from there on, it's only going to reduce the block size every 4 years, just like Bitcoin, okay? So right now, this period here is what we call expedited blocks, okay? So it's bigger blocks, but then it's gonna sort of normalize after 6.25, and then it's gonna have, every 4 years. Now, why am I showing you this? This is important because one, it speaks to what I was saying about time-sensitive opportunity, and then number two, you realize that, when we started mining for my gold plan, my first day, I got 14 coins. We didn't have a value back then, but I was pretty impressed. But I knew that it's not going to be 14 coins per day forever, okay? I knew that this is the nature of mining, right? So the number of coins that I'm mining, will go down, in terms of the number of coins, themselves over time. But here is the interesting part of what happens on the other end. Now, the demand will sort of do something like this, right? Okay. Now, when the demand does something like that, what do you think happens to the price? The price also, will follow exactly the same trend. Okay, here we go. So the price will then follow exactly the same trend. Okay, so meaning the increase in the value sort of compensates, for the reduction in the number of coins that you're mining. Hope that makes sense. I think it's important to understand as well. It's one of those things where, the sooner, one completes whatever research they want to do and get involved, the better, because the number of, coins that are mined are basically reducing, with time. Same with Bitcoin, same with all other cryptocurrencies. That's why cryptocurrencies are deflationary. So how does one get involved, right? So now here, we then buy mining power from Mining City, okay? Now, let's make an example here with the Go plan. With the Go plan, you buy what we call hash rates, in other words, computing power for $4,200 US. Now, this mining power will pay you for 1,100 days. Now, why 1,100 days? Simply because the machines that you're buying, their time span, it's sort of around, 3 years as well. So now, after you've bought your mining plan, let's say after the 3 years has lapsed, your 1,100 days is gone. If you then want to continue mining, you can always, buy another plan, or you can use the same account to add, another plan. But then you start mining after 10 days. So you buy a mining plan today, 10 days from now, on day 11, you then start earning for the remaining 1,100 days. So what are you buying exactly? You are buying computing power, terahash, 42 terahash. So meaning someone would, people ask me all the time, so if there's 600, there's 4,200, and there's 12,600. Why should I want to start, or should I want to go for the Gold plan, which is 4,200, where there's an option to go for 600? This is the reason why. Now, you can look at what terahash you're getting here, 6 terahash, right? So whatever the Gold plan makes a day, you are now, it's 6 times, 7 times, what the standard plan is making. Okay? So whatever the standard plan is making, the Gold plan will then give you that 2 times, because, 7 times, because it is 7 times the computing power. So same here with the bronze, it will give you 2 times what you're getting on your standard. This one will give you 4 times. This one will give you 7 times. But now the gold is simply 1, 2, 3 all in one. So meaning, let's say, one is able to start with the bronze plan, and then 2 weeks later, they add a silver plan. 1 week later, they add a standard plan. That's a gold plan. Okay, so that's how it works. And then the platinum plan was added because, Mining City had a lot of big investors who wanted to buy bigger mining plans, because they also want, bigger rewards. But the reason why, Mining City then chose to introduce this mining plan package is simply because those guys would have had to buy a couple of these gold plans. Right now, they've got an option of just simply going for the platinum plan, and when they do, they get an extra 12 terahash, taking their computing power to 138 terahash. Right now, this platinum plan is doing wonders, okay, in terms of the amount of coins people are generating a day. But then you can start with any of these plans. Now, if you remember on what I showed you, I said, the guys who are with Mining City in the B quadrant, those guys have earned more than $108 million. And then the guys who are in the I quadrant, those guys have earned more than $41 million worth of mining rewards. So this is the 41 million that I was talking about as far as the mining rewards is concerned. So the other guys who got paid a little bit more, what did they do? Now, what those guys did was, Mining City works like a members-only club. So in other words, anyone who then listens to this recording and then decides to go to Mining City, and then they click on, register, because they are so excited, they want to get involved. They've been watching this from the sidelines for some time. When they click register, guess what happens? The system says, who is your referrer? Because the only way for you to get involved is if you have a referrer, who then, signs you up, okay, or give you the referral code. Now, whoever then refers you, Mining City says, look, all other companies, they spend a lot of money to get new clients, right? So they'll spend money on advertising and marketing and all of that. Now, Mining City does not do any of that. They simply rely on word of mouth, marketing or advertising. Now, anyone who does that, they have to make sure that their product is up to scratch, right? Because word of mouth can either build you, or it can destroy your business. It's as simple as that. So now, in my case, I've bought a gold plan when we started. That gold plan has now mined over 150 coins. If we do get the time, maybe we'll have a look. So it has mined over 150 coins in the space of 6 months. Okay. Now, let's say I'm happy about that, because if we look at, so maybe let's have a look at that, real quick, so that we can have perspective on what I'm trying to say. So if we go to CoinGecko, let's have a look at this one too. Let's do that. Right, so we're in. So now this account started mining on the 16th of December, and it's a gold plan with 2 standard plans. Okay, gold plan with 2 standard plans. So let's just put that here, so that you can understand what I'm talking about. A gold plan back then, a standard plan back then was $500. All right, and then okay, let's put the second one there. Excuse my writing, guys. I promise you, in paper I write a bit better than this. And then the gold plan was 3,500. So meaning it's a total of 5.5, right? Okay, so that's what was used to then buy the mining plans. So if we then go to let's go to overview. Okay, there's overview. Now, if you see can you see the mining rewards? This is the all-time summary, okay? The all-time summary of the mining rewards is 172, okay? But now, in around March this year, my gold plan for Bitcoin, I also converted into also sorry guys. Sorry about that, guys. I'm here with my kids and wife. So the alarm went off. I had to check what's happening. All right. So what happened here was, so now I've now since mid-March, now I've got 2 gold plans mining here, right? But when that move happened, I had mined about 150 coins. That's why I'm only talking about the 150 coins, right? So here you can check the last 30 days. You can check the last 7 days. You can check, the last 24 hours. So now what I want to focus on here is the fact that, so let's just say I've mined over 150 coins. Let's just make the 150. So if I look for BTCV, right, BTCV, so 150 coins in a space of 6 months. That's what 706,000 rands. Let's just check in USD real quick. So in USD, that's 40,500. And you know, how much did I use to buy the plans? 5,500. But you can look at what I've earned so far. Now, why is this? This looks crazy, right? It does not look normal. Simply because of the fact that I started mining on day one when the coin had no value, then the coin was about $5, and then the coin was about $11. So the whole idea here is about accumulating the coins, understanding that, you know, the value of the coin will rise over time, and then when it rises, it then makes you rich. Okay, you know, it then, you know, fulfills whatever your objectives are, you know, of getting into mining city. Okay, of accumulating, you know, this you know, cryptocurrency. So now, so this is purely the mining, right? Now remember I said there was 108 million. Now if we were to look at that, what I'm going to show you now, I've earned on that particular one 1,150 coins plus 160 coins, you know, on this commission. So if we add these two together, let's add them real quick. That's 1,150 plus 160. Okay, that's 1,310. So what would that be in today's value? That's 1,000. What did you say? 1,300. Okay, that's 1,310. So that will be the value of the coins, right? Just on the business that I'm going to show you now. So what is the business, right? The business is very simple. Like I said, Mining City does not advertise. They don't do any of that stuff. The only thing they do is, you know, word of mouth. So what happens is, if I then, you know, from the, let me use it this way. Let me tell it this way. You know, from the goodness of my heart, I am mining, and I mine over 150 coins. And I decide, you know what? I don't want any of my friends that I've been hustling with, you know, since growing up. Let me tell them about this opportunity so that they don't miss out as well. Okay. So now, this is me. I sign up. I'm placed in what is called the citizen tree. Anyone, even if you're saying you've got no interest in doing the business, the only thing you're interested in is, you know, to just simply to collect the coins, you know, via mining rewards, you still have to be placed on what is called the citizen tree. So now that will be you there. You begin to start your own citizen tree. So now let's just say you refer two people, right? Your friends, and you told them about what your gold plan is done, and they decide they also want to buy the gold plan. Okay. Now the gold plan will give you what? 7 credits. So now you've got 7 credits left. You've got 7 credits right. Now this credit, every time they get to 5 left and 5 right, Mining City takes them away and replaces them with $200. Okay, that's a good deal if you ask me. So now they'll come in -5. You're left with 2. -5 this side as well, and then you're left with 2. And what you get in return? You get your first $200. Okay, in Bitcoin vaults. Again, another way of accumulating this coin, because I don't know what mining plan you must buy for you to get $200 every single day through mining. Okay, so now if you then get this $200, you realize that you've got way more than 500 people that you know on your contact list on your phone, right? You decide, let me tell the third guy, right? So you tell your third friend. They also say they want to buy the gold plan. which will give you 7 credits. Now you get 7 credits for this guy, and you were left with 2. Now you get another 7. Now you've got 9. Now, where this thing becomes crazy is the fact that these 2 guys that you signed up, you help them to get involved. Now, what's going to happen is that, these guys, this one here will get what is called a spillover. So you sign this guy, you place under him, he gets 7 because of the work that you have done. Okay? So now he gets 7, even though he has done nothing. And then you come and tell this friend that, look, by helping you and so, I got a bonus of $200. And he realized, I've also got friends. So he goes and tells his friends as well. And his 2 friends also buy the gold plan. Again, guys, they can buy any plan. They can buy the platinum, they can buy the gold or the silver. But for this exercise, I'm just making an example with the silver. Sorry, the gold. So now the 2, 7 plus 7 is what? 14, right? Now you've got a total of 16. So now what happens is Mining City does what? Minus 5, you're left with 4. Minus 5, you're left with 11. And what do you get in return? Another $200. Okay? So now, when this particular guy here decides to sign another guy, he can come and place them here. And when he places them here, this one will get the credits. He will get the credit. You will get the credit. So even yourself, when you want to sign someone and you come and place them here, all the guys in between, including you, will also get the same credits. So in other words, everyone is benefiting from another, from everyone. So there is no limit to how deep you can go. So you can get to a stage where you've got 30 credits left, 30 credits right. What will you get on that particular day? You're looking at $1,200 in Bitcoin Vault. So that's just the first way we get paid, right? Now, the second way is linked to this one. When this guy, remember this guy here, he's got 7, right? So meaning, just like you, he's also gonna get his $200. And when he does, Mining City will then give you $10 as sort of like a thank you bonus, okay? So now, the $10, imagine if you've got at least 50 people in your organization making $200 every single day, and you get 10 times, $10 times 50 people, right? Imagine if they do this every single day for the whole month. That's 30 days. So you're looking at what? $15,000 in Bitcoin Vault. So how many Bitcoin Vaults is that? Okay. Again, this is a very powerful way, of accumulating these coins. So that's the second way we get paid. Now I'll just show you the third way. In total, there is 5, right? But for today, I'm just going to show you, this. Just going to show you this 3. Right, so now, the first 5 people you sign up, they are called your Team A, automatically. And for that, you get 5% referral commission. And then every other person after that, meaning 6, 7, 8, all the way to infinity, they are called your Team B. And for that, you get 10% referral commission per person. Okay? Now, should any one of them sign their first 5, they will get 5% just like you did. And then the other 5% will then be paid to you. Okay? So same for the 7th and the 8th person and all of that. But then when they get to their number 6, then nothing is paid to you, and then they get the 10%. Okay? So that's just the third way we get paid. And right now there is a promotion. It's been running since the beginning of the year. It's not part of the compensation plan, but I think they will still keep it running. I'm not sure for how long. If you become a builder, you get an extra $100, as a bonus. If you become a city developer, you get an extra $250. If you become a city manager, that's $3,500 plus the smartphone. And then the city chief manager, you get $50,000. And then city mayor, you get $100,000. Now, for those who are serious about, building this business like I am, It's important to note that there's only one city mayor in Africa. There's only 3 city chief managers in Africa, and then there is, a couple of city managers, and there's a lot more city developers. So that just simply shows you that the opportunity is still wide open. There's still a lot room to grow. I don't even think that in Africa we've got maybe, let's say, 10,000 people involved in mining city. Now, for me, that means that's a great window of opportunity for one to maximize on what we are doing here. So, guys,